I'm joined here today by the one, the only Dwight Grant, who we found out just minutes ago, at least I know I did, that he's going to be fighting Calen Born coming up real soon, August 22nd. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for asking. I assume you must be doing pretty well, though, because we found out your opponent pulled out. You weren't sure if you're going to fight, and now you find out you do have a fight. Like, it must be kind of a relief.
Yeah, definitely relief. I mean, I feel like I don't know. I didn't question if I was gonna fight at all. It was more of who it was gonna be because I was really like ready to come and I was preparing to leave, gonna head to the airport the next day. So I was like, whatever, man. Like I'm gonna fight somebody. So I'm glad they found somebody real quick.
So, what was the communication like with the UFC? Like, it seemed like you kind of knew early on that they were going to try their best to find your replacement.
Yeah, my manager contacted me and said that my opponent fell out, and then it was like, the trying to find somebody for you right now. So once I heard that, I was like, okay, cool. I mean, if I was, I'm used to fighting in small shows where that's your opponent falls out and that's it,
Yeah,
like that's
right.
what it's
Yeah.
done. So, but once they said they're gonna look for someone else for me, I'm like, I'm sure I'm gonna be fighting. So I just kept my weight cut. It was really hard to cut weight that night though because
Yeah.
I was like, man, like I better be fighting this week.
Right. Yeah. It's like, man, I
All
got
this
pizza
work.
waiting for me.
Yeah, man, just looking at you. So I'm glad they found somebody. But I was sure I was gonna fight.
And so, how was that time for you mentally? Because I assume it's got to be tough for me. You touched on the weight cut a little bit, but it's got to be tough, right? You're hoping for a fight. I mean, you got sort of the heartbreak, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
how was it for you mentally?
Well, it was fine because I mean my game plan is the same. I mean, if you watch one of my fights, I mean you see them, I'm trying to knock the guy out the whole time. So it and even if the person says like, oh, I'm a striker or whatever, they're gonna try to take me down. I'm gonna fight it, and then I'm gonna work for the knockout, and that's it. But what I think is gonna be special in this fight and then going forward is now I'm more concerned with the performance and output than I've been before. So I really want to get that KO bonus, but also want a chance at the performance bonus. So I'm giving myself more distance here.
So, is the fact that you took this fight on short notice, does that get you any sort of brownie points with the UFC? Because we know they like when guys do stuff like that.
I mean, I don't know if it does for me. I mean, maybe for the guy coming in, but
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm just really happy. A lot of stuff going on right now in the world. I'm really happy to get this opportunity to fight.
So what was
That's
that? What was that conversation like with your coaches though? Like, are they confident that you should be taking a fight? Because I think fighters don't always agree with their coaches. What was that conversation like?
Nah, they were like, yeah, let's see who it is. I mean, it should be fine. I'm pretty straightforward, like in the fighting thing, and like I said before, I've been fighting in small shows for a long time, so I'm accustomed to like showing up at a fight with the person's name and trying to find somebody who looks like a John or who looks like a Brian, like to see who your opponent's going to be. So I mean, now obviously we have more like ability to see people's fights, past fights, but it didn't matter to me. Once I see the fight, I see the person fight once, I'm good. And also, even if I just fight them out without seeing them, most of my judgment would come from seeing them, in person anyway. So yeah, it's fine. They were with
So
it.
what kind of adjustments do you have to make though? Because I believe we're talking today. It's the 19th. The fight's happening the 22nd, Saturday.
Yeah.
Do you have any adjustments at all?
I mean, yeah, because the other guy was gonna fight. First, I thought the other guy was gonna fight with like 6'4" or something like that. But
Yeah.
he's like 6 foot. But he's and I think this guy is shorter, so I made a couple adjustments there. It's a different style, but I feel like for me it's just like going through the Rolodex of fights that I've had. Okay, I'll just do this, this, and this, and this because this type of person or this type of style. This is what I usually do. Is what works, and then like I just do that. So it's an adjustment, but it's not like a major thing.
And so, being that we're so close to the fight, what's the weight cut process look like for you? Like, have you started water loading? Like, what's kind of your process at this point?
I do a bunch of weird stuff. But now it's difficult because usually I do stuff with like, the pool and the jacuzzi and like sauna and like all the stuff like that. Can't do those things. I'm just using like the portable sauna or whatever it is, and just working out a little bit. And by the grace of God, I've been pretty disciplined the past couple of weeks with food. Even though I had a couple opportunities to kind of like have a cheat meal, I didn't. So my weight's pretty good. I only got a few more pounds to go. So it's not even like, and I'm pretty coherent right now too. So I feel like
Yeah.
everything's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's good because I know fighters when they get too close to the fight, you start to do these interviews, you get one word answers. Half of it is like, for fuck's sake, man, wrap it
Yeah.
up. So it seems like you're doing pretty well with it.
The interviews. I mean, I'm excited about the whole thing. I always, and I probably should change at some point. But I always view these things as like me watching it as a fan. Because like for a long time, I've just been a fan of the sport, watching interviews, watching like the fights, watching the press conferences, and just getting hyped for like little things. If you have like a favorite fighter and they do a press conference interview, like, you want to hear what they have to say, you want to know how they felt in the fight, and I know what that feels like. So I mean, yeah, I'm always down to the interviews, man. I know somebody appreciates it.
Right, for sure. When with that being said, though, when you did your first ever interview, which I assume must have been a long time ago, how was it mentally for you? Like, were you excited heading into it? Did you think like, man, I got to try to talk a lot? What was your thoughts heading into that first one?
I was pretty. I wouldn't say I was scared, but I was pretty scared because I,
Right.
the thing about it is like, so I grew up. I was born here I was born not here. I was born in Brooklyn, and my family's from Guyana. But I was raised in Guyana for a bit, and I came back. So I had like a really thick accent for a long time, and then I tried to like get more of a like American accent or a way of speaking. So
Yeah.
what ended up happening, I just mumbled a lot. It ended up being a lot of mumbling. So I had to be careful. One, not to talk too fast, which I ended up doing anyway. So I just stopped trying. But I had to be sure not to mumble, and that was the fear I had going into interviews. Like, man, I hope I don't, and then
Right. Yeah.
like, and then subtitles just pop up all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, that's not good. You have no subtitles start the interview, then you start to see him. It's like, oh nah, man, it's over.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about doing interviews now? Like, I mean, you seem pretty comfortable. Obviously, I don't think I'm a very intimidating person, but like, it must be a little bit different for you now.
Definitely. I mean, I've had more experience with it, and also, like I was saying before, like I understand like how people feel going towards a fight and then seeing interviews. 'Cause I definitely watch them. Like I have my favorite fight. Like Anderson Silva. He didn't do a lot of interviews. Like the English
Yeah.
thing back in the day. But if I did see one, I'd be like, oh snap, what do you say? Or even guys, other fighters that are real like back in the day. Like I would look for the interviews before the fight and then after the fight. And sometimes even if I missed it, I would just watch them afterwards, and just see like what he said before versus what he said after and how he felt. So like with all that, I guess, experience watching them, I feel real comfortable doing them and knowing that I'm not really supposed to be here to just promote things, whatever it is. Like I'm more just being myself and letting people know that, hey, you don't have to be like a super tough guy to train to fight. Anybody that loves the sport can train and then become good at it. And if you really have a passion for it, you want to make the sacrifices, you can try to be professional. That's something that, I mean, yeah, obviously not that easy. It's just not easy to say. I mean, I've been fighting for since like 2011 professionally, but I mean, at least that the option is there. So you don't have to have that one personality type just to be here. You can be anybody. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's the interesting thing about talking to fighters. I think if you're on the outside, you expect guys to, like you were saying, mumble and like, beat this guy's ass.
Yeah.
But guys
Oh,
are so much more interesting than that.
one second. I think my hello?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Let me see. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
All right, there we go. When you were starting to come up and you're doing these interviews, last thing on that, but I know for a lot of fighters, there's sort of people that they want to be interviewed by, and usually that's like Ariel Helwani, Luke Thomas, all those guys. Who was kind of the guy you wanted to be interviewed by?
I think it was Ariel Helwani, and I got
Yeah.
to interview with him, but I was super dehydrated. Like I
Uh,
was super messed up because it was my first time I think on like a pay-per-view main card, and I felt like I'm always trying to follow the rules as much as I can. I didn't want to get up and go get water, so I was just sitting there trying to get through
oh yeah.
everything. And I was like, all right, well, this will be over in like 20 minutes, and whatever. And then all of a sudden, like he came and did the start of the interview, and I was like, oh snap! Like I just realized without water, I can't really talk too well. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
it's like yeah, and that became like 40% of my brain power trying to lift my tongue up to speak.
Right.
To enunciate a word or two, and I ended up speaking at like 10 times speed. So it was
Oh.
it's whatever. But that's definitely the things I was looking forward to because I watched so many of his interviews, even way back like interview
Yeah.
Rampage and going to Japan and stuff like that. Like it's like I'm telling you, like I'm a fan of this stuff, and wanting to be in it. That feeling of wanting to be in the big show and being a fan of, like, man, like it's just something so compelling, So I really still feel that way, even though I'm in it now by the grace of God. I still kind of feel like, oh man, what's going on,
Oh man, I think while we're on the subject of Ariel and interviews, I think his best interviews and when he does the walks with the fighters. Like I don't know if you watched the one with John Jones a few years back. I think that's my favorite, MMA interview. Like it's so good.
Yeah, I seen that one for sure. The one I was talking about just now with Rampage, that was one
Yeah,
I also, like it's something about getting to see the person a little bit differently. You know what I mean? Like it feels kind of really meta right now. 'Cause we have an interview right we have an interview right now, but like it's just it feels like you get to see the person in a different light and understand how that not just personality but how that mindset is able to approach a combative situation, right? Because I mean, if you're not fighting and you don't have any hopes to or any kind of like feeling towards it, doesn't mean that you can't learn something from a guy who trains to go fight. Like some things that they say may help you at work, may help you like in school, may help you. It's just like a to build that mindset of being diligent or just being able to take it. Like whatever whatever you're dealing
yeah.
with, like you hear this guy talking about it, like, yeah, man, that's a good point of view. Yeah, I should be like that more when I get like a term paper or something like that, and I don't want to do it. I should just get up and just start it right away. Just don't give myself a chance to feel bad. Like that. These are things that I've heard in interviews that have made me feel like more powerful in normal life. So I think when he does interviews where he walks with them and talks to them, it kind of they let the guard down more, and you get to see a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's definitely pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. I enjoy them. I wish you did it more, but obviously with COVID, like you'd have to stand on one side of the park, the other guy's on the other end. Like it wouldn't work today.
So talking on the cell phone. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Nah, it's like you just defeated the whole purpose. Like it could have been good, but nah.
Yeah.
But listen, getting back to the fight stuff though, and I know obviously at this point you're just excited you have a fight, period, right? Because you've been on a long way. You almost didn't get this fight. But last time out, we saw you against Alan Jouban, who's obviously a big name. He does a lot of media. Like we see him, he's modeling and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Were you a little bit disappointed somewhat that you didn't get that big name to sort of help you continue on your trajectory?
No, I mean, I definitely asked for some bigger fights, like a bigger name people to fight. Mostly because I wanted to be able to compete against the best guys in the world. So I'm here. That was my thing. I feel like being in the UFC, that's who you're gonna get. So even if you don't get the number like 10 guy or number like 12 guy, you're still getting a tough guy who wants to finish the fight. And that is what gets me excited. Like knowing that somebody right now is looking at a video of me potentially and trying to figure out my style. With all the years I've been training, like trying to find like like some kind of way to beat me in a fight it's I don't know how to describe it. It makes me very interested in the combat. It makes me like very interested in seeing what happens. I have to make sure that I don't let myself be too taken in by it, but more just go out there and execute my plan, and then watch the video later and see what they were trying to do. That kind of thing. Because if you get hung up on like just fighting big names and all stuff like that, I'm sure that you'll feel disappointment. But man, like I don't want to keep saying over and over again, but I'm just so accustomed to fights getting canceled and stuff happening all the time that when I get an opportunity to go, I'm ready to go, man. Like I was excited to fight Jouban though. Like when I heard the name or saw the name on the text the first time, I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome, But I mean, if I don't know the guy, it doesn't mean anything. Like a lot of people don't really know me that much right now, And I'm sure they're gonna like watch all these interviews and stuff like that later on. But I guess I get successful with it and be happy to see him. So it's not something I really think about too much in terms of the star power of the person I'm fighting. I'm gonna think about like how I'm gonna feel, during and after the fight.
Makes a lot of sense. One last question, we'll let you go because I'm sure you're starting to get the dry mouth as well, considering how close the fight is.
Right.
There we go. Listen, kind of an obvious question that you're going to hear a million times, but I might be the first one to ask you this because of the new opponent, but how do you see yourself getting the job done against Born on Saturday?
Well, it's for me, it's more of it's just more a feeling than a sight. It just I'm coming to finish the fight. That's what I do. You know, like that's what I do. Like I mean, but honestly, like if I said I'm coming to get the submission, you'd be like, what are you talking about? So I'm laying if it's there, obviously, but I'm going
Yeah.
to get a finish. You know, and now what makes it so special to me is I have all the tools to get the finish. You know, like all these new tools in striking, all these new tools in grappling to make the fight something that I think people who watch my fights have never seen. You know, so if it becomes a situation where, you know, he's really trying to press me and all stuff like that, I don't have to rely on my same old tools. I can rely on like, you know, like new stuff and test out a bunch of new stuff that I learned. So I'm coming in to finish the fight. I see myself getting it done, you know, like as quick as I can. And that's it. The most important thing is coming away with the win. Yeah.
All right, well, there we go. We look forward to seeing all the new tools. First things first, I'm glad they got you a fight, man. I was a little bit worried how close we were, but they got it done. Trust the UFC. Thanks so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for this, man. I really appreciate it too.